Hello, everybody. How are you doing? Can you see me? Can you hear me? All the normal Twitch checks must happen first. Oops, I forgot to put my ear under my shirt. It's a very bright white shirt for Meeple University. Let me fix that really quick. Alrighty. And apparently I look and sound good. I don't know about that looking good part, but that's very kind of you to say, Flashburn. Hello. Hello, Billy Pratt. Hello, Corthane and A.G. Fox. Then Matt the Levy, who is a jazz aficionado, the likes of which I have never seen before, identifying all of those songs from just those brief piano snippets. That was amazing during the intro. Well done. Corthane and who else is showing up so far? Flashburn, I think I already said hello to Flashburn. And a Barkerware, good morning. And yeah. Hey, everybody. Oh, and first time chatter, Terrible Gamer. Don't beat yourself up, Terrible Gamer. I, too, am a terrible gamer. Just watch any of my videos for instant proof of that. Oh my gosh, Jen and I, we played Red Cathedral with the new expansion the other day. And I was doing okay for most of the game, but towards the end, I made such an insanely bonehead move that pretty much undid like the last 5 turns I had made, and I got so furious at myself, I had to get up and walk away from the table just so as not to distress Jen. And I had to come back a few minutes later after I had calmed down because I was just such an incredible dummy. So, a terrible gamer, you're not alone. Alrighty. Flashburn shouts, Ruel! Ruel is not here yet. Or unless Ruel is in the chat. Oh, yes, Ruel is in the chat. Good morning, Ruel. Yes, you, sir, need to get ready because here's what's happening today, folks. We are here 2 hours early. Thank you for waking up a bit early. I certainly had to, and I am exhausted because last night I watched the final episode of Season 4 of Stranger Things, which when I started out, I did not realize was a 2.5 hour long episode. And I wasn't done with it until almost 2 in the morning, but it was so compelling. I just watched all the way through. But then because we're streaming 2 hours early today so that we can raid Ruel at noon Pacific 2 hours from now, I basically got very little sleep last night. So I am running on fumes, but hopefully I'll be able to put on a good show for you all. And there is a lot to do today. I am going to unbox and talk about Tokaido Duo today. I haven't played it yet. I was really hoping to get a chance to play it before I filmed, but Jen has been too busy. She's running an online, what do you call it? Show, an online show for her glasswares right now on Facebook. That's what she's pretty much been dealing with for the last 20 hours, dealing with customers and all kinds of stuff. So, but yeah, this is very, very cool from what I've read of the rules so far. So we're going to open that. I'm going to talk about why this maybe will it eclipse Seven Wonders Duel, also from the same designer? We will see. Then I've got to film the latest episode of Crowd Sorcery, named by you folks. That should only take a few minutes because the whole point of that is it's a quick show, but I think I've got 9 games to talk about that are ending over the next couple of weeks. So, but I'm still practicing, trying to get that down to a quick science. And then the main attraction for this part of RtR, Rahdo then Ruel, is I will be recording the July episode of the Rahdo Talks Through Podcast. And oh my gosh, there were last month's, we were a little low on questions, and I really had to lean on you, the live Twitch viewing audience, to help supplement the show. But geez, I don't know if we're going to have time for that today because so many questions showed up to questions@rahdo.com. So I'll be going deep into a whole bunch of gaming topics. And after that's over, if there's some more time, I'll do a little bit of back and forth with you folks. And then the actual main event of today starts at noon in an hour and 55 minutes from now when Ruel Gaviola and his wife Michelle will be playing Star Realms. I forget the name of it. It's the legacy version of Star Realms, which I just launched this morning. And I have to admit, folks, personally, I've said this before, I'm not the biggest fan of Star Realms. I certainly understand why it's so appealing and such a hugely popular competitive deck build. It just wasn't really for me and Jen. But I want to play this one. So, next best thing, you'll get to watch along with Ruel and get a sense for feeling like you're playing. Because whenever he and Michelle do a video together, it is awesome. They are such a great on-camera pair. So, you can look forward to that. Okay. So, let's see. I have now been talking for 13 minutes, or I guess -8, and no one has complained yet. So it seems like everything is running a-okay, no technical issues. People, of course, will still be slowly coming in, and maybe this is going to be a smaller viewer count than normal since I am 2 hours earlier than normal, but let's just see here. Oh, I see Corthane is excited about Tokaido Duo. You should be. This is so good. I haven't played it yet. Just from having read the rules, I am so incredibly excited about it. I cannot stress just how fantastic it is. Should I stop? Should we just go on ahead and open it? Should I not talk about it, but actually talk to it? Put it on screen? Yeah, let's go on ahead and do that, shall we? Because again, I don't know. I mean, I've got so many podcast questions. I don't know how long it's going to take. Normally, I'd want to wait a little bit longer. Let's just see if there's any back and forth I should do. No, okay, Corthane says open it. Open it. Okay. All right. Then let me bring over the camera. Hopefully the camera has not crashed. No, it hasn't. Boop. Okay, Tokaido Duo, which as I understand it, I believe this is a solo design from Antoine Bauza, the designer of the original Tokaido, and what's the follow-up Tokaido? Namiji. And it's a 2-player only game. I don't believe there's a solo mode, which is too bad. Thank you, Terrible Gamer, for subscribing, by the way. That's awesome. That gets us one step closer to unlocking more content for the channel. Hooray! Actually, and speaking of more content, next week, Ruel and I will be back together live for another episode of the RtR, and we'll be here at the regular noon time. Anyway, though, let's see here. Let's talk about Tokaido Duo. Now, I should say, this is a prototype, even though it looks from the outside like the full finished version of the game. It even has, I don't know, is this a real UPC code? I guess it must be. This is a prototype box, so the contents are prototype, but they told me at FunForge, when they emailed me about it and asked if I wanted to cover it, and I said, yes, please. I mean, Seven Wonders Duel was so amazing. Isn't it in the top 10 or top 20 of Board Game Geek? And deservedly so. So, Antoine Bauza revisiting another one of his all-time classics, turning it into a 2-player game. That's a big deal. So anyway, so they sent me a prototype. They said everything, none of this is final. I mean, some of this is handmade and put together, but it is representative of the final game. So, all I have done is I had opened it up and I have read the rules. I have not pulled any of this stuff out. But you can see, yeah, the prototype box. Once you get into the prototype area, the tape is starting to come loose. But, and the rules are a work in progress, but they're pretty straightforward. I was just reminding myself of how they work this morning. Credits, Antoine Bauza. There we go. So, let's just go on ahead and get the new board out. Boop. Oh, it's a wee little board. It's an adorable little board. Okay. And, I mean, obviously has that famous Tokaido vibe, with the all plain, clean white. And the thing is, you might look at this and say, oh, like Tokaido, yeah, look, there's a time track on the outer portion of the board. That is true. Let's see, it's a 2-player game, so I guess one player plays the white meeples, and you've got your merchant and your poet and your traveler, I guess. And what's the other player color? The other player color, in my prototype anyway, is a dark brown, it would seem. Okay. And, what the heck? Oh, looks like the white bag exploded in the box. So here's all the stuff the players get right out of the gate. Little tokens with, and I have to admit, I haven't read all of the particulars yet. I know each player gets 3 of these boards because, unlike regular Tokaido, you are not controlling one character, you are controlling 3. One of them is the Pilgrim, I believe, and I don't remember which one is which. Actually, maybe I can look and get this right. All right. Right. Okay. Yeah. So this one apparently is the Pilgrim. This one walks on the outer edge clockwise and is the closest thing to regular Tokaido. And let's see here. This is the Merchant. You can see carrying that little backpack on their back. They move around between these inner mountain villages and the coastal villages. So they travel around, coming up into the mountains to gather resources and then deliver them down, or maybe it's the other way around. Maybe they gather resources at the water and then deliver it up to the mountains. I don't remember which, but they are moving around on effectively, a completely different board. And they might have a little bit of overlap with the pilgrim, who was just walking along the coastline, doing more traditional Tokaido type things. And then there is the third player, the artist. And the artist is on a third board, which is to say they move not on a trail, they follow their own path. So they are moving around from space to space like this, not following any of the established roads. And of course, the other player has 3 as well, and got markers for keeping track of stuff. So the way this works is... Oh, here we go. Okay, here, I was afraid. There's a big old bag of stuff. We got a bag of stuff, money and, various special powers we get and all that. But the most important thing is these dice. Oh, and I should say, as part of setup, each player has 3 cards that represent the progress of their 3 characters. Because it's like you're playing 3 simultaneous games of Tokaido at the same time. The merchant making money, the artist, this is not a spear, but a walking stair, actually going to look like, basically, finding works of art, and then the pilgrim doing stuff on the outskirts. So each player has their own set of 3 things that they keep track of their progress depending on who they're moving. But who do they move? Well, when it's your turn, you roll these 3 dice. One of the dice is for each of the characters. And as the lead player, you'll say, oh, you know what? I really want to move, say I'm the brown player, I want to move my artist. So I will take the artist and I will move him exactly 2 spaces, 1, 2, and I'll come over here and interact with that area. Then the other player says, oh, okay, well, you've left me with the merchant or the pilgrim. So which one is it going to be? I'll move my pilgrim 2 steps. 1, 2, come over here to this ocean front and do that. And now, it's a dice drafting game. That left the merchant for me. So I'm now going to move my merchant with, I'll go 1, 2, 3 and come down there. And then after that's over, the other player takes the 3 dice, rolls the 3 dice, gets to pick 2 of the 3 movement, and then the other player chooses 1. I love this. This sounds so incredibly cool. With each one of these characters on effectively a different board, all tied into one thing, because there's 3 different areas that these people move in, doing different objectives. Every round, a tense and tight dice draft. I'm desperate to get something. But will you take the die or will you leave it for me? The other thing, too, you have to move exactly what the die tells you. You can't say, oh, I'm moving up to 4. If you take this for your pilgrim will move 4, whether you like it or not. So there can be some angst there as well. And that's the gameplay in a nutshell. And what have we got in here? We've got in the bag, we've got various artifacts and whatnot that can be picked up as well. I think those are by the pilgrim on the outskirts. No, I think these are the mercantile items that the merchant is bringing and selling to make money. And the more sales they make, the more. But again, each player is doing different stuff. And this seems so cool to me. I cannot wait to give this a go. And as I understand it, I don't think it's going to be available until much later, like Essenspiel October time. But I'm definitely, before the week is out, I'm going to get a chance to play this with Jen once she's done with her current glass show she's doing on Facebook right now. And I can't wait. Because, again, Tokaido, I know a lot of people love it. For me and Jen, as a 2-player game, it was a little bit too cutthroat. Each of us sharing control over that third character whose sole purpose was to mess with each other. Here, I love dice drafting. And on my turn, getting to take 2, leaving 1 for you. But I pick 1, then you still have choice, you still have agency, and then you leave me one of the other ones. Will I be able to make use of it? The first one I take, knowing that I'll get one of the other 2 and have to be prepared for that. That all sounds very cool. And considering how amazingly popular Seven Wonders Duel came when Antoine Bauza took one of his other most popular game and turned it into a 2-player, battle of wits, I think this is going to be a really, really big deal as well. And so we have finished the first portion of the show today, folks. Did that make sense? How did that look? Again, I wish I'd had a chance to play it before, so I could go a bit more into detail about what all the different characters do. But man, it sounds very, very cool. Let's see. Have I lost you yet? Nope. Everybody's still here. Oh, yeah. October. I could be wrong about that, but that's my understanding. It's interesting. They actually, they sent it to me. What is this? This is July. It got it to me really, really early and asked, could you have your video ready by October? And I'm like, yeah, I think I can pull that off. So apparently, I'm going to double check with them if they don't want me to put the video up a little bit earlier in August or something like that, rather than wait, because I've got it. And, and the sooner I film it, the sooner I can put this prototype into the mail so it can go to some other channel and there can be more coverage for it. So, all right, I'm going with October mostly because they asked, could you have your video ready by October? So I'm assuming this is intended to launch at Essen Spiel, but that's what I got, folks. And oh man, I just saw a full screen. So this camera, folks, a couple of weeks ago, right before we left for for Alaska, I ordered a new webcam, the AverMedia AW15 or something like that. This is a $300 webcam. Supposedly it's the best one in the world. I hooked this up the other day to replace that, and this started glitching too. So, what I now know is the glitches I see from time to time have nothing to do with the camera. Concerning the fact that I did it with this in the same way, it has everything to do with my computer. When I plugged this in, I was trying it, I was actually doing a video render at that moment. So a lot of system resources were gobbled up. So basically, every time there's a glitch like that, I can only assume that means the computer is being stressed too hard. Or I don't know, maybe it's the USB jacks. Maybe? Anyway, it's just going to be a quirky little thing. And I'm still trying to decide whether I'm going to return this or not. It is a very, very high quality camera, but I don't know that it's really that much better than the RtR it already had. And since I'd gotten it to solve a problem that it doesn't solve, I don't know if it makes sense to keep a $300 camera for... I mean, it has a wider field of view. This has a 90-degree field of view. This has a 100-degree field of view. But that doesn't help me because I'll just have to zoom in because you'll end up seeing all the junk. I mean, if I were to zoom out, if I were to tip this camera up, you would just see, oh, it's just a bunch of... I mean, this all looks very nice. Everything that is within the confines of this camera looks well ordered and presentable, and then right off camera, things just explode into disorder and chaos, which I suspect I'm probably not the only person like that out there. But anyway, let's see. Alrighty. Yep, okay. You're still here? Everything seems to be going okay. Then let's move on to the next portion of the show. I have to record. Although, man, I'm making good time, aren't I? I reckon it's probably going to be an hour or so of podcast questions. Maybe a little bit less, depending on how long I linger. And we got to be done at noon. So, and in theory, I was just about to start crowd sorcery, but that will only take a little bit. Because it's supposed to be a quick show, 5 to 10 minutes. What the heck? Let's just get it done. And then let's get the podcast done. And if there is time left over, well... We can see what we can see. We can do some Q&A, or maybe it'll mean that your audience questions can make it into the podcast as well. I probably should stay on target. Honestly, I'm just zipping along so quick. Alrighty, so let me get this out of... Or should I keep this on the screen the whole time? No, because I don't think it'll make much sense to have this on the table during Crowd Sorcery, which is about crowdfunding games, and this is not a crowdfunding game. This is going direct to retail. So let's just go on ahead and put it away. Bye-bye, Tokaido Duo. I mean, what'd you folks think? Did it sound cool? Am I the only one incredibly excited about this? I mean, to me, this seems like such a really neat design. I love dice drafting. I love the spare and elegant presentation of the original game. I love the idea of 3 different characters doing 3 completely different sets of activities on effectively 3 different boards, all on one board. I mean, everything about this game seems very, very cool to me. Alrighty. Boop, boop. Bye-bye, Duo. Okay, then. Let's make sure that the browser is still set up correctly. All right, what do I need? I need you. All right, yeah, there's Board Game Geek. And spoiler alert, the first game I'm going to talk about is Colossus. So I'll be able to talk about that. All right, everything seems fine. What do I need? Oh, I need the keyboard, of course, because I need to put the dates for the games on screen. That's fine, right? The first game I'm going to talk about ends tomorrow, July 20th. It only has, let's see, what does it say it has right now on the countdown? It has 22 hours to go. So, actually, normally my intention is record this crowdsource game live for you with you folks on a Tuesday and then put it up on Wednesday, but not this week. After I'm done and while Ruel is playing Star Realms, I'm going to have to turn the crowdsourcery thing into a standalone show and post it immediately because Colossus seems pretty cool, I have to say. So let's take that back off, but be ready to put it back on for the browser with the date down there. And, right, and so then I've got the talking head over here. All right, and I still do not have any kind of logo or splash screen or anything for Crowd Sorcery, which is kind of a problem. I really do need to get to work on that. What if I did do you get anything if you do a Google image search for Crowd Sorcery? Sorcery, I'm sure not. Images, you get me. Yes, if you do that, I guess not surprisingly, I guess that means it's working, right? You get Rahdo Runs Through. Although, apparently, Crowd Sorcery, there's been some political ads about Crowd Sorcery or something like that. But yeah, right off the bat, Rahdo Runs Through comes up. Hey, what just happened? What just happened? Wes Lloyd, resubscribing. You've been with me for 5 years. Nice shave. Yes, thank you. Another thing I'd intended to get done before going live today was a haircut, because this is getting a little bit too long to keep under control, but that was the plan yesterday. The plan yesterday was play Tokaido Duo, shave, haircut, and I did one of those three things. I only got the shaving done. With a brand new razor, courtesy of Amazon Prime Day, because the one I'd had before was really starting to give up the ghost. It was getting so painful to use. You may have noticed I was getting really beardy in some of the recent videos. But anyway, yeah, so yeah, I'm not going to try right now to make an image. I just need to have everybody blah, 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 crowd sorcery, and then I come back to me. And then we say, hey, we don't have much time. We're just here to talk about games that are ending, some of them very, very soon. So, time is fire in which we burn. Without further ado, let's go. And then I bring up the first one. Oh, which means I have to push. Right, so that's ready to go. Then I bring up the first one. Let's talk about Colossus. And I hit Control S, and that puts the date down at the bottom of the screen. Okay, I am set. I am ready to go. And so far, other than one little video glitch, everything seems to be moving along okay. Alrighty then. Yeah, I see Bakerware loves the idea of two-player games. It makes it easier when you can't get the crew together. Honestly, the weird thing, I'm not that big a deal for me, two-player games, because for me, the crew is always together. I'm always going to be playing two-player games. So, but I appreciate they definitely fill a certain need for a lot of folks, and I do think that is great. And this looks like it's going to be very, very cool. I cannot wait to play it. So, all right, we are ready to go. Crowd Sorcery. This is going to be episode number 3, I think, right? Yes. And my apologies for folks who have been enjoying the Crowd Sorcery. Episode 2, which I filmed on the road in Alaska with my laptop webcam, was not ideal. I did not realize until after I'd uploaded and posted it that there were all the audio problems. I was mostly just concerned with the video. I thought the audio would be fine, but everything should be good now. Everything's going fine because I'm back home where everything is just set up and just works, minus the little video glitches every once in a while. So, all right. Anything going on? Nope. You folks are all doing fine in the chat. So let me just get this done. Lickety split. And am I ready to talk about all these games? 9 of them. The previous 2 episodes of Crowd Sorcery only had 7 a pop. But this time I've got 9, and more that I have not played than before. But no, I think I've got something to say about all of them. I think I'm ready to go. But folks, you're here live. I might screw up. The last time I did this, when I recorded episode 1, I think I had to start like 3 or 4 times before I finally got a rhythm. Hopefully that won't be the case now, but it's still a new show for me, so we'll see if I can get my rhythm. What am I going to say? I'm going to say, hey, everybody, welcome to Crowd Sorcery, where we are... Well, actually, I don't even have an opening patter. What do I say? I don't want to flounder around like an idiot. Welcome to Crowd Sorcery, where I'm going to tell you all about the best crowd-sourced games that will be closing in the next 2 weeks. It's the Crowd Sorcery. So, games. Some of these are closing. One of them is closing tomorrow. One of them is closing on August 3rd. I'm going to be doing them in order. This all sounds fine. I don't need to prep. I'm saying the right thing. Let's see. Oops. But I should probably take that off the screen, shouldn't I? Yes, I really should not leave a random chat bubble on screen during the entire show. That would not be good. Where I show you the magic of the upcoming crowdsource game, says Wes Lloyd. Is that too on the nose? I mean, you're right. That is the point, right? Where I bring you the magic of board game crowdsourcing. I mean, I'm really not a particularly punny person, and I wonder if that is just too direct. I mean, if it's better to leave the crowdsourcery pun just unstated, because I'm stopping to say, hey, I'm talking about crowdsourced games, hence the name crowdsourcery, without actually having to say I probably should lean into it. I should probably get a wizard hat and whatnot. When it boils right down to it. But, yeah, I don't know. Okay, and now I've convinced you, and you suggested that it's too on the nose, so I will not be doing silly. I have to admit, in the 10 years I've been doing this show, I have never tried to be silly. I figure, hey, you know what? Shut up and sit down, and no pun included, they've got that cornered. The idea of actually trying to tell interesting and engaging jokes. I just try to just talk a mile a minute, keep the energy up, keep the enthusiasm up, but not be funny necessarily. That's just... Oh, and Mother's Murph, yeah, they're, of course, they are hilarious. Honestly, you know, considering how entertaining they are and how they will often make me laugh out loud, I would just be embarrassed trying to purposely do anything funny. Yes, and as Wes Lloyd points out, apparently, occasionally I'm silly too, but it's completely organic and natural as opposed to me trying to actually make with the yucks. So, yeah, I think then we'll just leave it at that. We are ready for the show. And again, this is like a 5-minute, 8-minute show. Oh, what's this legend? Legends DM says that they bought a glass cut necklace for my wife at Dice Tower Wets after beating me in Claim 2-player, and the girlfriend wears the cat necklace every day. That is cool. I have to admit, I barely remember. I played Claim with 3 or 4 people at the show, and you must have been one of them, and I barely remember it at all. The game did not really leave a strong impression with me. I am planning on playing it this month with Jen. But since I'd gotten this, I've discovered Jen and I, we just don't enjoy trick takers very much because they're all about just trying to trick. Literally, I know that you're supposed to be taking tricks, but really, the heart of a trick-taking game is trying to trick the other player into, putting themselves in a corner and just stifling them all the time. So I'll play it a little bit more, but I hopefully you had a good time, and I'm glad your girlfriend is enjoying the necklace, Legends. That's awesome. Okay. Oh, yeah, Wes Lloyd points out for Northwood, a solo trick taker. Yeah, honestly, that looks really, really cool. That's, I think, more my speed at this point. I would totally cover that. Alrighty. And apparently I stared you down in the selfie pic we took afterwards. I'm sorry, I don't remember any of this, Legends. It's all a blur right now. The only thing I remember about Dice Tower West is our flight leaving Vegas being canceled for 48 hours, us having to do a massive mad dash and incur incredible huge costs to switch to a different airline, and the original airline, Southwest, still hasn't reimbursed us, and at this point we think they're just never going to. So... less said about Dice. I mean, it's not Dice Tower West's fault, but yeah, I think Southwest definitely lost a couple of customers that day. But hope springs eternal. We'll see. Okay, so I am going to record Crowd Sorcery, episode 3. We're going to do that right now, and then we'll take a breather for a second, and then we'll do the podcast. Okay, everything's going pretty good so far. Everybody can see Meeple University, the channel I'm representing. Stella and Tarrant are awesome. If you haven't checked them out, go like and subscribe them. They are good people. I look forward someday to making it down under to go play some games with them. All right. That's neither here nor there. Okay, so, but you know what? The problem with this is, when I went to their merch store to get a shirt, most of their stuff had really tiny little icons, or they a neat little graphics they did that wasn't about them. So the only one I could get that was about them was this big, ginormous, a bit oversized, long sleeve shirt, which is very hot. I am going to be right back after I turn on the overhead fan. So hang on, everybody. I'm not even going to turn on the hang on, everybody. We'll be right back. I'm just going to, oh my gosh, it's so warm in here. Oof. I believe we've done a sound test in the past, and this microphone did not pick up those ceiling fans, which is a lifesaver, quite frankly. That is very good. Okay. How to play Gugong. Linnaeus was just checking out Stella. They do great work. Mostly, I have to admit, my favorites is the Stella short and sweets. There have been occasionally times when I'm trying to evaluate whether I want to cover a game, and I haven't covered it yet, but Stella has, because she got a really advanced early version, and she has just been fantastic for me. That's really what got me to subscribe and start watching. But they're just wonderful folks, too. Actually, I did a top 10 crossover with Stella and Ella of Ella Loves Board Games, and had a great time doing, what was it? Was this top? I don't remember what top 10 it was, but you can just search for Rahdo, Ella, and Stella, and top 10. Anyway, though, all right. I have put it off long enough. And, oh, hey, Ryan Courtney, first-time chatter. Welcome to the party, pal. I need to get a button that I can push that brings up Bruce Willis, John McClane, looking, holding the MP5, looking over the window saying, welcome to the party, pal, because I say it all the time. It's one of my favorite quotes. But anyway, in the meantime, welcome to the party, Ryan. Nice to have you here. Oh my gosh, Basso, the heat wave in Europe. Yes, I was watching a video, or a couple of videos about that yesterday. Oh man. It's beautiful here in the Pacific Northwest right now. Hopefully you are getting some relief wherever you might be, Bass One Mo. All right. That would be a great, that would be a great one to add, says Corthane. A great one what? I don't know, you're distracting me, folks. I'm here to film a show, so I'm going to film a show. Talk amongst yourselves. Also, folks, for first-timers and new folks here, if you have any questions for me, I love answering questions. It's what I'm about to do for an hour. My entire podcast is answering questions that have been submitted to questions@rahdo.com. I would love to answer your questions as well after I'm done filming the stuff I'm here to film. So if you have any questions, by all means, submit them in the chat right now, but do it by starting your question with a question mark. Because if you do that, it puts it in a special queue to ensure that I do not miss the question. So while I'm doing crowd sorcery, while I'm doing the podcast, if any questions pop up, if this makes you think, well, wait, what about X, Y, or Z? Definitely question mark, type in your question, and then you can end with a question mark too if you want, but you don't need to. And when we get to the end of the show, I'll do a little bit more back and forth. Right. And in the meantime, I have to admit, I'm kind of stalling because I'm still a little nervous about the whole crowd sorcery thing because it's a new show, and I'm talking about a bunch of games that I have not played. I've just read about or watched videos of, but I can put it off no longer. It is time. So let's go on ahead and get ready to go. Oh, and let's turn on the overhead that while I'm filming the show, you can see I will not be checking the chat. There are plenty of folks in chat who have been here long enough and they know how it works and can explain that if there's a raid, I won't necessarily be able to respond to that. But this is a short segment, so I'll be through it pretty quick. But while I'm doing it, as you can see, and that's a reminder up here also, if you have questions, start them with a question mark. Okay, as Popcorn Sweater just did. And I will answer your question, Popcorn Sweater, in due time. Okay. Oh, what the heck, I'll answer it right now. No, I won't. No. I've stalled long enough. Let's do this. Alrighty, Rahdo runs through logo. Alrighty. Alright, and I go from there to there. Alright. Hey everybody, today Rahdo runs through Crowd Sorcery, episode number 3. This is the show where I spend just a few minutes letting you know about a bunch of games that are seeking funding on various crowdsourcing platforms, specifically Kickstarter and GameFound, and that have really grabbed my attention, that I think you might want to know about. And the thing that really ties all these together is the campaigns are already live and they're going to be ending in the next couple of weeks. So I'm going to be talking about 9 games today, rapid fire style, one of which ends on the 20th of July, one of which, that's the first one I'll talk about, and the one at the end ends on August 3rd. And so you have a little bit of time to check these out and see if I'm right or wrong, or if they might be of some interest to you. Right, that's crowd sorcery. Make sense? Then let's get going with the first game on my list, which, as I said, ends on July 20th, just 20 hours from now, I believe, and it is called Colossus. And boy, this game looks cool. Now, unfortunately, the developers do not have a neat little attract video, which I like to let the video do all the work. So I'm just going to have to scroll down here a little bit, but I believe there was a screenshot that really kind of captures the feel of the game. This is a solo game that is basically Shadows of Colossus, the old PlayStation 2 classic video game, brought down into a fast-playing, puzzly little card game. Because every round you have a hand of these grid cards that have different actions that represent the different things you need to do to defeat the Colossus. You need to hold on tight so you don't get shook free. You need to do damage. You need to climb. And so you've got these different icons, and you've got this hand, and you're going to layer these cards on top of each other, covering some icons, leaving others uncovered. And once you've puzzled out how to puzzle those cards together, that will tell you how much damage you do, if you do enough, how well you hold on, if you take damage yourself, if you are successful climbing and all of that. And every round you've got specific targets you need to hit, but you can't possibly hit them all. Plus, sometimes these cards have negative things that will weaken your grip or make you do less damage. So you want to lay these cards out so you cover up the bad stuff, leave the good stuff exposed, and it sounds like a very, very cool puzzle. I've played a bunch of card games that have this card layering system, and I always think they are a blast. This is a solo one. And the thing that really pushed this game over the top for me is when you get near the end, you have to do the coup de grace, the final blow, and that is like a special boss fight amongst itself. Because instead of just having a hand of cards you can puzzle out, you instead have to go into this like sudden death overtime mode where you draw one card at a time, must place it, you can't move it. So you've got to it's very, very nail-biting right down to the end, just like a really great video game boss fight. The game looks sharp. It's very simple. It's a small box, really, really low-cost game. It's already been successful. It's got 22 hours to go. I would love to give this game a play sometime, which is why I figured I should let you know since it closes on July 20th. Colossus. Okay, now let's move on to the next one, which closes the next day, July 21st, and it is called Stardust Coffee. And this one does have a nice little video, so I'm just going to put that on screen and let it do most of the work. This is, I guess, kind of a almost rondelish pick up and deliver game in space, where we're trying to get resources to make the best cup of coffee and sell to customers. We're not Starbucks, we're Stardust Coffee, you see. But what is interesting to me about the game is not the theme, but instead the gameplay, because it's a dice drafting game, and when you take the die, you can use it for its color that moves you forward on the color track, and you also use it for the number, which you use to unlock or activate different powers of your ship. So every die has two uses that you have to use every time you grab one. Multi-use dice. A wonderful, cute little presentation. It looks pretty sharp, which is why I thought it might be worth checking out. You've got a little bit more time, folks. Lots of unique player powers. All of the rest of it, that is Stardust Coffee. And now also ending the same day, July 21st, next up on the list, we have got the Grand Carnival. All Aboard? No, not All Aboard. I'm thinking of a different game. Grand Carnival on the Road. Although this is a re-release of the original Grand Carnival, which is a phenomenal tile laying game. One of the best I've ever played, quite frankly, because it's two tile laying games at once. You're laying down the foundations for your carnival tents, and then the carnival tents, which are polyomino pieces on top of it. It was already a brilliant game, and so you can get that. But with this new expansion, it adds so much. Now, I've already done a sponsored preview for this, so you can check that out to learn more. But the way that it brings all the modules in, there's several different modules, clowns and mega tiles and all kinds of stuff. But it does it with this on-the-road motif, where you could say, hey, today I'm playing in Chicago, I'll mix these ones together, or those ones, and it every time you go to a different city, you get completely different scoring objectives that radically change the feel of the game. Like I said, Grand Carnival is already fantastic. You don't have to take my word for it. If I recall correctly, Z Garcia of the Dice Tower loved it. He literally put it in his number one game of 2020. I don't love it as much as Z, but I think it's a phenomenal game too. And the expansion On the Road takes it to the next level in a really, really big way. And so you have got until July 21st to check out Grand Carnival On the Road. Okay. Next up, July 27th, we've got another game that I covered coming to an end. It's Amon-Re, the 20th Anniversary Edition. And boy, I was so glad I got to cover this because I've wanted to play Amon-Re forever. Because it's widely considered one of designer Reiner Knizia's greatest designs of all time. But for most of its 20-year history, it has required at least 3 players, which means I couldn't play it with my wife. But this new edition introduces several modules, really cool miniatures, a beautiful artistic overhaul from one of my favorite artists, Vincent Dutray, and one of the modules makes it playable 2-player. I did a run-through of the 2-player. It is fantastic. Why hasn't it always played like this for the last 20 years? I don't know, but I cannot recommend it highly enough. Having gotten a chance to play Amon-Re now, I see why for 20 years it has been so highly lauded. And again, you can watch my run-through preview to get a sense for how the 2-player works. Mwah. Chef's kiss time. A brilliant job done by Reiner Knizia, and he worked with some folks. I don't think he gets any credit, but Seth Jaffe, designer of Eminent Domain, is one of the people who contributed as well as as an editor on the game. Brilliant stuff. It's always been brilliant, but now it looks as good as it's always played, and it plays incredibly well for 2. And so I am over the moon excited for Amon-Re, the 20th Anniversary Edition, which you've got until July 27th to check out. Now, this one's on GameFound, not on Kickstarter. But with that out of the way, let's move on to next one. On July 28th, the next day, this is my biggest surprise. Honestly, I did not expect to put Snapship Tactics on my list today, because this is a game about players facing off against each other with spaceships, just doing dogfighting duel type stuff, rolling a lot of dice. It kind of harkens back to X-Wing and Star Trek miniature battles, but what makes this game stand out is the customizable ships. You don't just get pre-made ships, you get all these pieces that you can combine in dozens, hundreds, thousands of different configurations, making completely unique ships. And what's brilliant is every one of those components that you can snap together to make the ship comes with its own card that gives your ship different characteristics, weapons, handling capabilities, power sources, all of that kind of stuff. So I make my ship out of pieces with a unique configuration. You make yours, and then we face off and try to blow each other out of the stars and roll dice and all that. And I have to admit, that's where I lost interest a little bit until I discovered you can play it solo and co-op. I actually watched the developers playing a 2-player co-op of it, where you play against AI controlling the other ships, and oh my gosh, it looks cool. I mean, I'm already in love with this game because of the toy factor. Just getting, do you draft the best card so you've got the perfect layout, and then try to, how do I puzzle this thing to make it look like a ship? Or do you make the coolest looking ship you can and then see, oh, well, what can this ship do? Either way, it's such a cool idea. And, I grew up playing with Legos. I love that idea. But the fact that it ties into the gameplay makes Snapship Tactics, with its co-op and solo play, very attractive to me. Okay, then we move on to another game ending on the 28th of July, Mini Express. The expansion map pack. 2 expansion map packs in this one, actually, if I recall correctly. And now I have not played Mini Express, but they'll show in the video a little bit. As I understand it, this is like a super simplified, streamlined version of a Martin Wallace, Age of Steam, 18XX, those kinds of big train games where you have lots of different companies you're investing in and trying to expand. And, as companies grow in power and influence, you try to invest. If if you're not invested, you want to make sure those companies don't do very well. This is a style of game that has been around forever and is hugely popular. And Mini Express takes it and crunches it down into a fast, tight playing little game, which I have not played, but I have heard nothing but great things about this, that it's such a brilliant design. And I guess I'm not surprised because it is from the designer of Steamrollers, which I have played. Steamrollers is a brilliant train game roll and write. So Mini Express I've heard great things about. So you can get that on this campaign, but what you can also get are 2 new map packs with new countries that have been added, England, Taiwan, Japan, and Spain, if I recall. And the thing is, the other thing that really pulled me in was 2 of those maps are designed by 2 of my favorite designers of all time. Tony Boydell did the England map, and Hisashi Hiyashi did the Japan map. So, and apparently they're not just, oh, it's a new layout, but they actually change gameplay in interesting and meaningful ways too. So, the main thing that gets me excited about just playing Mini Express is fast play, and as a 2-player game, what they do is they implement a 3rd bot you can play so that you get the dynamics of a constantly adjusting market. That is very interesting or attractive. Although for players who don't like bots, there's an advanced version of the 2-player where it's much more cutthroat and chess-like. I think I'd like the more laid-back, oh, look, the bot made this one company really good. I want to invest in that company while expanding across the map. And with new maps, with new features from designers I absolutely love, there's a lot to recommend here. And again, it ends on July 28th. The Mini Express map packs. Okay, let's move on then to July 31st. So much cool stuff coming, folks, including Trick Draw. Now, this was a game that we did a sponsored run-through for on the channel, and actually, it's kind of a bummer. This is a beautiful little introduction they've got on their website, but it doesn't show the game at all. So let me just go over to the preview that Ruel Gaviola played with his wife, Michelle, and Monique of Before You Play. You can check this out, and oh my gosh, it's so much fun. The 3 of them had a great time. The game itself is so quick, they actually played 2 full sessions of it in a half-hour run-through. And to describe the game, it's kind of in the same realm as it's a simple card game. Draw a card, play a card. That's what you do on your turn, and everybody's racing to hit a point score token or value. And every card you play has the potential to build you up or play tricks on your opponents. The closest thing I can think of to it, watching Ruel and Monique and Michelle play, it kind of feels like, Love Letter. Incredibly simple, incredibly elegant, tons of mind games trying to think about what might my opponent do, how do I play this card to best effect, and constantly making moves to mess with your opponents. Normally that's not my thing, but this game looks so fun and fast and fluid. I mean, you'll have a game done in 10 minutes. And again, go check out the preview that Ruel did. It was such a blast to watch the 3 of them throw down. And Monique, a new side of her I had not seen on her normal channel Before You Played. Anyway, the game looks smooth, fluid, fast, incredibly easy to teach and play, and one of those ones where, hey, once it's done, you'll just want to play it again over and over and over again. So you can watch the preview Ruel did to learn a little bit more about it, and you have until July 31st to check out Trick Draw. Okay, we're almost done, folks. 2 more to talk about. Next up, we move on to the month of August and the game known as Moon. And this is one, it breaks my heart I have not played this yet, because I have played the 2 prequels to this from the same designer publisher. What are they? Villagers and Streets. And I did run-throughs for both of those. And Moon is the latest from Håkon Gardner. And those 2 previous games were brilliant. Simple, elegant, fast-playing card games with a lot of really interesting stuff going on. And so I expect really good things from the 3rd in this series. So this one, we are trying to colonize the moon. And it is a card drafting and tableau building worker placement game, where the more cards you get and you try to stack certain types that work well together, but they become worker placement spots that you can actually deploy your troops to, so that you can have the most successful moon base, and that will become the basis of the capital of the moon. And like I said, I have not played this yet, but I did watch some videos of it, and it just seems really sharp and clever and fast playing. Alexa, stop. I don't know why Alex just started talking just there, but maybe she's excited about it too. Anyway, again, based on the pedigree of the previous two ones, Streets and Villagers, I expect Moon to be fantastic. You can go check out the Kickstarter page right now. There are some other folks who have actually covered it, so you can get a sense for what it feels like to play. But I'm pretty much sight unseen sold on this game. Moon. Okay. So that's it, folks. One more game to talk about, and we're going to go back to GameFound instead of Kickstarter. It is the Hans Christian Andersen Fairy Tales Family Game Collection. That is a mouthful. And you've got 15 days, I think, as of when I'm filming this. August 3rd. It might be August 2nd. I'm not quite sure. One thing that bugs me about GameFound, it just tells you 15 days less. It doesn't say the exact day that it ends. Unlike Kickstarter, GameFound people, please add that right here, exactly when it's going to end. Because I don't know if it's going to end on the 2nd or the 3rd, depending on what time of day and all that. Anyway, though, doesn't matter, immaterial. What is this game? This is a collection of 6 games that you can buy in one of 2 bundles. 3 card games is one bundle. The other bundle is 3 flip and write games. And the thing is, all 6 of these games are based on the fairy tales of Hans Christian Andersen, The Ugly Duckling, The Snow King, The Emperor's New Clothes, Tinderbox, The Little Mermaid, and The Princess and the Pea. And they are all designed by, Oscar Gonerud and Daniel Peterson. And this is an incredible design duo. These 2 designers, when they've worked together, I mean, they brought us Copenhagen, Flamme Rouge, 13 Days, Tale of Pirates, Helsinki, a game I just covered for Queen Games a little while ago. The 2 of them are really just on point. And I can't go into all 6 of these games. It would literally, double the length of this show. But you can go check out the GameFound page. By the way, folks, you can check out all these pages. The links for every single one of these projects is down in the show notes right now. So you can just jump right to these. And they've got a really nice little, just 1 or 2 sentence description of each of the games. It does a brilliant job of capturing what makes each one of them special. And so you can buy 1, 2, or both bundles. And it's just launched, so it's got a couple of weeks to go. And it's actually, here's an interesting thing. It's kind of a depressing thing. Their goal is 2,000 euros. And folks, if you're one of those types say, you know what, I'll just wait for it to come to retail. This one is not coming to retail. As it says right here, they've already done the print run for this. This was a game made just for the Danish market because Hans Christian Andersen is a rock star in his country of origin. So they made it to sell in Denmark. They set aside 440 copies of these games to be able to make them available to the wider market, and then that's it. So if you're at all interested in the subject matter of these games or just the design pedigree of these 2 guys, it is definitely worth your time to check out. If you like flip and writes, if you like simple card games, I think each one of them comes with like 120 cards. There's push your luck stuff, there's polyomino stuff, there's an Uno-y type card. They're all kind of on the lighter side, really pushing for families. But again, these 2, I have been impressed by every one of their designs I've played. So I expect you've got 6 great games for families here. And because their target is 2,000 euros, there's never been a better time to do it because, of course, the euro is at historic lows right now. So if you're not in Europe, there would never be a better time to pick these up than right now, which is my last one. It ends on August 3rd, the Hans Christian Andersen Fairy Tales Family Game Collection. And that's it. Phew. Okay, folks, another crowd sorcery done and dusted. Again, check the show notes. There's links for every single one of these projects if they are of interest. And I'll be back in 2 weeks' time to bring you a little bit more sorcery, folks, as I hunt through literally hundreds of games to bring you the cream of the crop. And thanks very much for watching. Have a very, very nice day. Talk to you later. So long. Bye-bye. Phew, okay. How was that, folks? I don't think I screwed up. I think I saw the camera glitch a couple of times, and sometimes you just gotta let it go. I'm the most picky about that stuff. I think most audiences don't really care. Just for 1 frame, there's a weird little glitch. Oh, that's a good point. Bass One Mo, you should be doing my job. I bet you those boxes do look really nice, lined up in a little collection of 6 on the shelf. Good point. Okay, let's see here. Oh, shoot, I just realized I left the Hans Christian Andersen one on screen the whole time for the last... Am I going to edit that out or am I just going to live with it? I don't think I had much of a closer. Anyway, doesn't matter. We're done. That's gone now. I can close the banner file, and I can see how everybody's doing. Okay, we're at about an hour in. In an hour and 5 minutes, we are going to go say hi to Ruel. But before we get to that, I'm going to answer a bunch of questions. Have you folks been asking any questions? Oops, that's the wrong button. Where are you? Questiony questions thing. It is. Oh shoot, it's closed. Right? Okay, I don't need all these things anymore. I can close all of these, and thereby, if in fact it's system resources that makes those glitches happen, closing all these tabs is probably a good thing. Having a bunch of tabs all playing videos doesn't help. All right, close tabs to the right. Just give me my chat monitor, good old featured.chat, which I had open before, but I closed it because I just obsessively close things, which does not do me any favors at all. Coming over, and okay, I see a few questions. Okay, cool. All right, well, I'll get to that stuff, folks, in, I don't know, about 40 or 50 minutes, depending on how long it takes me, because, again, a ton of questions came into questions@rahdo.com. Okay, and I see Begant asking more questions too. I'll get to that too. But I don't want to be late for Ruel, who is standing by ready to go live with Star Realms Legacy, which is not the title of it. Oh, I gotta look up the title of it. That's gonna drive me nuts. Star Realms Rise of Empire. Rise of Empire, which I guess just went live on Kickstarter today. And so you'll be able to watch Ruel and Michelle play it today at noon. That's what we're going to be doing after we're done here. But first, so many questions to answer, and then I'll get to your folks' questions too. Okay, then let me just make sure the browser is up. No, that's not the browser. Right, there's Star Realms Empire. That's what I was just looking at. Let's just keep Board Game Geek at the ready in case I need it. Because what I do, folks, people send questions to questions@rahdo.com. I take those questions. Boy, what is going on? Why is it taking so long? There we go. Alrighty, there we go. So that's queued up, is the word. I take all the questions, the emails, and I copy and paste them into this Word doc I used to just actually have Outlook open, and I would just open the emails, but sometimes people in their SIGs put their email address. I'm like, I'm doxing people. I'm saying what people's email address. So I realized, okay, to do this, I have to copy and paste the questions out and just put them into one document. And then I just go through it. And so all of these questions are what I'm about to answer. A lot. Although it stops right about there. Then we go on to the stuff I'm not recording today, because there's some game questions that people asked of Jen. And I'm going to record with Jen tomorrow the game questions for her, and also personal questions about Jen's and my life and our chickens and our whatever might be going on. So I'm not filming any of that today. Today I'm just doing the main, what is literally half of the podcast, me answering a bunch of questions about games, the game industry, my channel, stuff like that. The on-point stuff. So, it's all queued up. It's ready to go. And you know what? Before we get to that, let's have a little bit of fun. Let's have a Battle Royale for the subscribers. Battle Royale. Boom. And for folks like, what does that mean? What is a Battle Royale? Well, if you subscribe to the show, which you can do for free if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, you get one of these adorable little meeples. And you can use them to fart and hug each other and whatnot. And occasionally, in a given episode, you can also fight to the death. And here we go. Fight! I make a run to the right with my big yellow balloon. I throw down with Feld Fan, the ultimate Feld throwdown. And we... as Feld fans, we're Care Bears, we don't fight too terribly long before we move on. Then I stab Dean in the back, and Lilia Storm and Billy Pratt and Dean all jump on me. I'm down to half health. I stab Billy in the back. I keep on chasing Billy, but now I'm surrounded by everybody again. Boy, I really want to take Billy down super hard, and do I do it? I took down Dean. And no, now, who's this? Angle JP? All right, okay, I'm still alive. Nope, okay. Billy Pratt gets his revenge. Best served cold. No, I took out Billy. Wow, but then Engel took me out. Okay, so the fight continues. We got two effects. Looks like Eris. Okay, Eris stands alone with the magic wand coming for Engel, because I don't think KC-183 was not long for the world. It's an epic throwdown. It could go either way. Oh my gosh, a health pack lands right in front of Eris. This turns everything around. But Engel gets the bigger hit. This is very close. But is Eris going to get a second health pack? Oh, the fates were shining on you today. May the odds ever be in your favor, Eris. Angle, you gotta run. You gotta go get that other health pack. Turn around. Oh, Angle, your carrot is not gonna save you. And Eris stands triumphant. Alrighty. Phew. There we go. There's Victor. So Eris has won 100 gold that they can use to customize and get a new hairstyle or whatever it might be. Although Eris, where'd you go? And now everybody's friends again. Everybody. Oh yeah, no, Eris has already got a nice, got a magic wand, got a cape, got a killer dew. Eris is already looking pretty good. Eris, you can gift that 100 gold to whoever you want. There's a list of commands for your avatars down below, and you can give gold to other people. If you're just sitting on a bunch and you see somebody become a new subscriber and they get their avatar, gift them your gold if you're not using it so they can start customizing right from the get-go as well. There's like a little economy. Or you can gamble with it. You can play slot machines and you can duel for it. All kinds of stuff. But anyway, that was all a bunch of silliness. We are done with that now. And so I'm going to bring this back up as a reminder that I'm going to start recording the podcast now and just making sure everything's fine. Let's see. Oh, hey, 53 minutes ago, Terrible Gamer. Oh, I think I already did say thank you, but thank you once again, Terrible Gamer. You subscribed. You should have been in that fight. I don't think you lasted very long, though. I don't think I saw you anywhere in there. So you were probably got taken out in the early scrum. But stick around. We try to do one of those battles every game just because it's silly and fun. You have no control. It's all random. But anyway. And Wesseloid, thank you for resubscribing. Thanks for sticking with the show. We will unlock more stuff soon. Okay. Righty. So, I've got my... I don't probably need the Word document. Let's put that up top. Okay. So, I'm not recording the intro today because I don't know what I'm going to say for the intro in case something goes long or I have to explain anything. So I'll record that tomorrow after I record everything with Jen. The last thing I record is the intro. So right now, it's as if we're at minute 5 going directly into the game questions. We're just kind of jumping right into it, folks. Just in case you are wondering, well, that was kind of abrupt. In the final podcast I put together, which I probably will make live on Thursday, you'll be able to listen to it on your smartphone or on YouTube or whatever. But today I'm just doing the lion's share of the work, getting ready to edit it all together. Let's just breathe for a little bit. And again, questions, start them with a question mark, and we'll get to your questions after we've hit all of these. And okay, I've got an hour to get this done. I should be able to do that unless I waffle too much like I'm doing right now. So we are done waffling. Here we go. Okay, folks, so many questions showed up at questions@rahdo.com. I'm very excited, but I still need questions for next month, folks. So you know what to do. Send your questions to questions@rahdo.com. But let's get going. Starting with a question from Alexander, who wonders, have I heard anything from Aporta Games about their upcoming title, Revive? And then Alexander wonders, will there be a run-through? And he says, if I haven't, I should check it out. The designers and theme, believe it'll pique my interest. You are correct, Alexander. I am very excited about Revive. And here's breaking news, everyone. Revealed for the first time. They contacted me, Aporta Games, a week ago and said, the game is not going to be ready until Eschen Spiel. They're targeting that, but they are going to have the print house make one full put together copy, and they're going to send it to me. I should be getting it sometime in late August, so I'm hoping to get it played and filmed in September, a full month before the show. And I cannot wait to check it out, folks. It looks very, very good. A big, crunchy, heavy game from Aporta. This is the the Magnificent Santa Maria. When they make big, crunchy games, and this is their latest one, it's a post-apocalypse game where we're rebuilding the world and stuff like that, reviving. So it looks really, really neat. I will be doing a world exclusive coverage for it in September, and after I'm done, I'm going to put it right back in the box, and I'm going to send it to Jeremy Howard of Man vs. Meeple. And I imagine because he's even more excited than you and me combined, Alexander, and so I think he'll probably be doing some solo coverage of it before Essen as well. So that is the plan as of today. You heard it here first, folks, on the Rahdo Talks Through podcast. Thanks for the question, Alexander. And yes, everybody who likes my show and maybe likes the kind of stuff I like should be excited about Revive. Okay. Next up, we've got a big old email from Ben, who says, my wife and I are getting to the point of wanting to branch out from the base Pandemic, but I'm not sure if I should buy an expansion, one of the spin-offs, or both hot zones. I think Legacy will come somewhere down the road. Of the various non-Legacy expansion spin-offs, which is your favorite for each of you? And he asked this. He was hoping Jen would answer, and Ben, I'm going to apologize right now. There is no way Jen was going to answer that question. Because a week after she's played a game, she has pretty much completely forgotten all the particulars of it. In the same way, a week after she's watched a TV show, she has forgotten all the particulars, or a movie, or a book. Her brain is completely devoted to storing facts about glass and our personal finances. So, entertainment stuff, it's in one ear, out the other for her. I can tell you, Jen's answer to that is, the first time we played the 2 hot zone little mini pandemics combined, because you can combine them to make a 2-player super game, Jen said, I think this is the best way I've ever played Pandemic. So if she could play all of them back to back, that would probably be her answer. It wouldn't be my answer. I think that's great. It's a wonderful way to play. But you're in luck, because a year ago, I did a countdown of all the mechanisms, of all of the offshoots of Pandemic. Broke them down, explained what they did, and I did it with Lizzie, who I call the queen of Pandemic. She has her own show, Long Distance Gamers, and she and I sat down for a couple of hours breaking down in really hardcore detail all the different things that all the expansions do. And we did 2 countdowns. One, our favorite mechanisms, and then in the second half of the show, we did our favorite expansion standalone spin-offs. So, do a search for Rahdo Long Distance Gamer Top 10 Pandemic. You will find that, and you will get all the info you need. And if you want Jen's answer, she would combine the 2 hot zones. Okay. Next up, Ben continues that been loving the ease of access with the podcasts across platforms now that I'm using Anchor.fm, which I'm not getting paid to say this right now, folks, but Anchor.fm is fantastic. If you've ever considered doing a podcast, why are you not using Anchor.fm? It makes everything so easy. It's free. It does all the propagation. Oh man, my life is so much easier. And so Ben apparently is happy too. But one thing Ben says has been missing is the old Blogspot site that I used to use to manage everything. It was handy because that was a page where one could search for a given question from a previous episode and find it. Just do a search for the whole thing. That never occurred to me, but I guess that is pretty cool. And I usually listen to the Google Podcast or Patreon, but no search episodes. I have opened them up one at a time. To search for something, you have to open up one at a time and look through it. Not a big deal. But, I guess Ben is wondering, is there a way to do this? Is there a way where that function might be available? That is one thing Anchor.fm sadly does not do. It is a great suggestion, especially for a show like mine, where I've got, 80-some episodes now? I forget what episode number I'm on. And each episode in the show notes, I've written down every single question that's ever been asked. So if you're looking for something. But yeah, as far as I know, they do not offer that functionality. But you are in luck, because 2 years ago, I think, I started putting the podcast on YouTube as well. And all the questions are there. So I believe, let me try this. Let me go to the browser and let me do a search for YouTube, Rahdo Talks Through, and a topic that would have been in a podcast. Pandemic. I'm sure I've answered many questions about Pandemic over the years, including the one just today. So if I do that, Google says, hey, I talked about the real Pandemic in episode 77, in episode 79, in episode 81, in episode 80, in episode 83, in episode 85, in episode 78. All right, okay. Oh, wait. Oh, whoops. I think I have to click this. Must include Pandemic. Okay, so that was wrong. Then you click must include Pandemic. Oh, which basically the search is YouTube, Rahdo Talks Through, and then the word Pandemic in quotes. It'll tell you every one, because all of these things are searchable. Then it gets into some other stuff. So it looks like that might be a way. I don't know if it's perfect. It's showing several. Let's do this for Gloomhaven. I've talked about Gloomhaven a lot too, right? Haven. See what happens if I do that. I talked about Gloomhaven in episodes 65, 75, 71, 56, 58, 63, 52. And then, of course, I did a Gloomhaven live stream. Episode 25. Okay, that's what I want to see. Is it going back further? I talked about Gloomhaven stickers back in June of 2017 in episode 25 of the podcast. So it looks like, Ben, you can. It's not perfect, but it's something. Sorry, so hopefully that helps a little bit. Okay. Okay. When storing it, Ben continues, more questions. When storing expansions with base games, do I usually try to fit as much as possible into the smallest box possible, or do I have certain games where I prefer to keep the expansion in own boxes? I definitely do the former. Wherever possible, I scrunch everything down into the smallest expansion box I can, just so I have more room. Whenever possible, I always do that. There's only been a few times when I couldn't, or at the very least, put all the expansions in the base game. Sometimes, some games you just can't do it. And in those cases, I got the base game and an expansion box. I hate that. It's just wasting table space. But sometimes it happens. Also, Ben continues, do I have everything except the rulebook for Shadowrun Crossfire in the high caliber ops box? Yes, I do. I do have that. I tried everything to fit. Definitely need more room. I wasn't sure. Well, actually, you're in luck again, Ben. Do a search for my video I did for Shadowrun Crossfire High Caliber Ops. I actually opened the box and did an unboxing showing how I squeezed everything, as you said, except for the rulebook in there. And that included the sticker sheets and the different mission and all of it. You can do it. It required rubber bands to keep the cards kind of together. Although, if you don't like that, you could use Hugo's magic tape instead. That would be an alternate. It certainly wouldn't work if you sleeve your cards, but I don't like sleeving cards. So yes, it is doable. Check out my, do a search for Rahdo, Shadowrun, High Caliber. You'll find the video. You'll see how I squeezed it all in. Against all odds. Lastly, says Ben, Ben is really all about boxes today. How many boxes do I use for Agricola? Ben has the revised edition, Farmers of the Moor, decks A through D, and maybe Dreaming. Would love to be able. I can't do it either. Agricola is one of those games. When I had my original version of Agricola, I had on the shelf the original box, the Expansions of the Moor box, and a special wooden component box that I bought at Essen one year to keep all of the wooden components. That doesn't stay on the shelf. That stays above the shelf. Do I still have that? Oh, do I? Because when I got the revised edition, I found that I could squeeze everything into the revised box plus the Farmers on the Moor box. But the original version, because I had so much stuff, I actually had to have 3 boxes. There's no way you can do it. Although, as I understand it, I think Agricola is getting a big box version pretty soon. This year is part of 15th anniversary or something like that. So maybe, Ben, you should look into that, and maybe it's time to jettison all your current stuff and get that big box when it comes out. I know I'm thinking about it. Okay, so there were some questions from Ben. Let's move on to C for Cat. I try to do these in alphabetical order. Cat says, in your last podcast, you were asked by Sam why you left Reddit. You explained that you left because having conversations with people on the board game subreddit who were negative for the sake of being negative was unproductive. That's a nice way to put it. I'm doing this weird thing where I keep switching tenses. I'm reading this in my own voice. I'm reading it in Kat's voice. Sorry, folks, I know I sometimes mix up. Kat continues. I couldn't change their mind, nor could I turn their frown upside down. Yes, that is very true. I talked about this, I think, in the last episode. Kat agrees with my conclusion based on my perception, but Kat asks to allow to challenge my perception. Okay, I'm going to read this as it is. I'm going to stop trying to switch tenses. All right, so Kat continues. The purpose of having a conversation on Reddit is not to talk directly to one person, but more to have a conversation with one person while tens, hundreds, or perhaps thousands of people are watching. Numbers, depending on the subreddit and thread in question, of course, depend. I see a Reddit conversation as a chat with one person in a hall where there are many spectators. While I agree you're probably not convincing the person directly, they needed to consider some positive counterpoints. It's entirely possible that a lot of people reading who may have had similar thoughts were convinced by your arguments. I put it to you! Your efforts were not in vain. For me personally, says Kat, I learn the most by reading replies on Reddit, not engaging in conversations. That's very healthy, Kat. It's actually a small minority of people who comment in chat. Most people read, similar to how YouTube videos may have thousands of views but only 4 comments. So my question, says Kat, would you consider my point valid? And if so, would you consider re-engaging with the Reddit community in the future? I feel the silent majority who prefer to read that content like me lose value when people like you stop contributing. Whatever the effort, stress, and time invested from people like you is worth it, I'm not sure whether it is. And I cannot say, as it's not fair for me to tell people what to do with their time so that others can benefit. I mainly wanted to show a different perspective and hope you can take that into account and maybe even change your decision. Kat, I agree with you 100%. And in all honesty, that used to be my entire raison d'etre on all of the internet. I, for years, posted on Usenet, well before Reddit ever existed. And I always tried to be, well, not always, but for the most part, tried to be a positive source of, hey, here's why good things are good. Although, man, if you ever go back and search through the old Rec Games EverQuest forum, I was not a very positive. But I tried to be constructively critical of that game back when I was playing EverQuest back in the day. But for the most part, as I've gotten older, I have less time for complaining and grousing and more time for celebrating the things I like rather than tearing apart the things I don't like. Who's got time for that? How does that make your life better? Yeah, I guess it scratches some dopamine itch to, get your complaints out and be heard, but I found I am always happier when I'm singing praises. It lifts the spirit. And if you yourself, whoever is listening or watching this, are the type of person who just likes to go on the internet and complain about stuff, can I suggest just spending a week, don't complain about things. Instead, post about things you really love and that make you happy. I suspect you'll be surprised by the results. Anyway, though, as an aside, Kat, you are 100% right. My goal was always to not really worry about the person in front of me, but the silent group of people who are sitting around on the fence who could go either way. Yeah, that really sucks, or, oh, maybe there's something good there. I was always categorically aware of that. And that's why I kept telling myself. But it didn't change the fact that I was personally miserable, dealing with miserable people, spreading misery nonstop. I'm a really positive, upbeat person. I am incredibly susceptible to, because we all are. 100 people could say a really great thing about a video, but I will obsess about that one negative comment. And this is just human nature. It's very well proven by psychology studies. It's not healthy. It's wrong, but it's unavoidable. And because wherever I show up, people tend to want to respond to everything I say. It becomes a lightning storm. And because I tend to be a paragon of positivity, the negative naysayer Nellies all come out and dogpile. And it just got to the point where I literally broke down, as I described in the last episode. And you're right. If I had more strength, I probably should go back. I probably should. But these days, I just try to keep my positive vibes on the channel and, on Patreon. And because I just can't do it anymore. They won. They won. I ran screaming from the room because I just don't need negativity in my life. And every time I post anything online, there's a very high propensity that that's what I will attract. And if I engage with that, it will multiply. It will fester. And that's what happened with Clank in Space. And that's why I said, why am I doing this? I am making myself miserable. I just can't do it anymore. So I'm sorry, Kat. I'm not coming back. I lurk in the subgame Reddit like you. But I still see way too many just sniperson dicks. And I just don't want those people in my life. I do not want to engage with them. So I can't come back, Kyle. But I appreciate and agree with everything you're saying. If I were a younger man, maybe I would have the strength to keep on fighting the good fight for upbeat vibes and positivity. But I'm too old for this spit, as they say in the action movies. Although I'm trying to keep it family friendly there. Okay, let's move on. Daniel says, for some of your favorite designers, what would you like them to design that they haven't already? A theme or a type of game or something else? It's a good question. Obviously, my favorite designers are hardcore Euro designers, Alexander Pfister, Stefan Feld, Uwe Rosenberg, Matt Gertz. There's so many of them. And I tend to like a certain type of thing. And they tend to give me that thing. So it's not like I ever sit around and say, man, I wish Uwe Rosenberg would make a really cool adventure game. Or I wish Stefan Feld would make a neat party game that works well for two. I could. Hey, if Stefan Feld tried to take on Codenames, which is basically a party game that you can play really well as two, that would be amazing. I would love to see something like that. I would love to see Alexander Pfister kind of delve into the realms of the sort of stuff that Ryan Lockett does, where he combines Euro and adventure gaming. I guess Pfister did that a little bit with what is it? The the game about the balloons, the hot air balloons in the future. I can't think of the name of it now. That's going to drive me nuts. And that was really good. But I'm happy with what I'm getting. I mentioned this when I did a video for Terracotta Army the other day. That, when in my final thoughts, I said, "Yep, folks, it's another beige and brown, dry, dusty Euro, and I love it. Give me more." I'm so happy. I mean, Euro designs are made for me and for Jen, and I'm getting what I want. You ask, is there something else I'd like? No, there's not. Are there things that would be interesting? Sure, but I got what I want, Jack. So I'm pretty happy as it is. Okay. Danny wonders, what are your favorite high-ranked games that have themes that you don't like? I can tell you that right off the bat because it came up earlier. Shadowrun Crossfire. I think it's my number 2 highest-ranked game of all time, and I do not care for the theme at all. The cyberpunk meets fantasy. It's fine. I don't dislike it. I just don't particularly like it. So there's that one. But what else? Let's go to ranked.rahdo.com. Let's bring the browser back up and go to ranked.rahdo.com and take a quick spin. Because if you go to ranked.rahdo.com, folks, you can see all the games I have in order that I rank them. And right there at number 2 is Shadowrun Crossfire, which is a theme that I'm okay with. But let's scroll down and see what we can get to that I actively dislike, and yet it makes it. I guess, and this is something that I've definitely evolved on over time, games like Santa Maria and Amerigo. Once upon a time, I was one of those players like, yeah, colonization really sucked, but I can just kind of compartmentalize and put it out of my mind and not think about what my actions really truly mean. I have a much harder time doing that these days. And but these games are still amazing. Santa Maria, Amerigo, didn't I just pass another one? Keyflower on one level is kind of a colonization sort of thing too. Maracaibo has elements of it. So those are games that at this point I kind of like in spite of their theme. Once upon a time when I just literally didn't think about it. And I was honestly kind of ignorant. I was like, yeah, I'm sure there's bad stuff, but let's just focus on the economics. It's much harder to do that now, but there's no denying that those games are brilliant. Cloud Age! That was the Alexander Pfister game I was thinking of. It's brilliant too. Let's see, what else do I not like? No, I'm fine with the American West. I like Ancient Rome. I like dusty Euro-y type stuff. I like most of the games I like. It happens I like the subject matter. Pret-a-Porter is a brilliant business simulation. Again, I don't dislike the fashion industry. I just don't care about it. But the game itself is so fantastic. So I guess that's another one that kind of ticks the box that you're looking for. Yeah. Oh, and then there's Amerigo. I was kind of talking about that indirectly when I was talking about, just colonization as a subject. So, there's a few. But for the most part, yeah, I tend to really like I'm very, very lucky in that there are many, many examples of games I really enjoy that happen to feature subject matter that I really enjoy as well. So let's go back to the Word doc. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. Dan, I just jumped right into his. He had more to say. For example, Danny does not like sci-fi, but still ranks Twilight Imperium 4 very high. Maybe the greatest game of all time. Perhaps this question should exclude abstracts. Oh, that's a good point. But actually, for the most part, I dislike abstracts enough that I tend not to like them in spite of how good they are. It's very rare that in abstract I like this enough to keep it. Most of the abstracts we kept because my wife likes them. She is much more comfortable with abstracts than I am. Alrighty. Okay, moving on. You had another question. Okay. In a recent, I don't need to bold that. Why did I do that? In a recent podcast, you heard me say to Ruel, you and Jen play Agricola, Jen and I play Agricola. We each take 10 cards of each type, choose which cards we want to start the game with. You may be misquoting. I don't remember exactly myself. Is that an official rule? Is it a house rule? Don't you rank your games according to rules as written? With that in mind, shouldn't that affect your ranking of Agricola? Have I caught you out laughing out loud at my own cleverness? Oh, Danny, you think you've caught me. But you do agree that Agricola is superior to Caverna. Then, Danny, you got me back. Here's the deal. It's weird. I did not make this rule up. There was, at some point, Agricola, I begrudgingly accept the whole, hey, let's do a Sushi Go style card draft at the beginning. I think it's borderline terrible. It's a horrible way to start the game. I mean, at higher player counts, it's okay, but as a 2-player, it's just, blah. Can we just get through this? This is garbage. And I swear, in the original edition, I have a first edition printing of Agricola. The rulebook had a section way in the back that listed variants. And these were variants from Uwe Rosenberg and the development team. And I got this approach from that. Now, as I understand it, I think that variant section was removed when they did the revised edition, and it's probably still going to be removed. I could be wrong about this, but it was originally. So, strictly speaking, if I'm right, and the revised edition and the new big box have taken it out, and therefore it's no longer officially a rule, I probably should knock Agricola down, and I've never thought about it until you just mentioned it. And in fact, I might do that because I did do this for Seven Wonders. Seven Wonders used to be in my top 10 games of all time until the deluxe super reprint removed the 2-player rules, just completely cut them. And so now, if you go out and buy Seven Wonders, there is no official way to play it as a 2-player game. And that is ridiculous. And so I changed my ranking of it. I dropped it down significantly because officially you can't play it as a 2-player game anymore because the publishers decided to stop supporting that rule. Although, to be fair, in Seven Wonders' case, they kind of stopped supporting it with halfway through all the expansions of the original edition. So I brought it down because I do rank them on the official rules, not on my homebrew variants. And you're right, I probably should do that for Agricola as well. That goes on my list of things to do, Danny. I will search out, was my rule only in the original game? If so, did they remove it? Then I've got to knock Agricola down a few pegs. Thank you for pointing that out. Although it's still, even with the official rules where they took out the best rule, it's still better than Caverna. Okay. Alrighty. Donna. Oh my gosh. Taking that rule out, does that make Caverna better than Agricola? Because Caverna doesn't need it. Caverna says, hey, you know what, all the cards, they're just on the table right from the get-go. There is no draft or anything like that. Oh, boy, you've given me some real stuff to ponder, Danny. Yikes. Anyway, you're making me challenge my worldview. Okay, well done. Donna wonders if I've had a chance to check into Teespring. If I recall, last month, Donna let me know that she'd intended to buy a Rahdo t-shirt from Teespring, but stopped during the checkout stage when a screen showed up saying that, hey, we'll take your info and sell it to interested parties. And so you never bought that shirt. And you're right, Donna. You pointed that out. And I said, Donna, please write me back next month because that's not cool at all. I'm not happy with that. And so, oh my gosh, Donna, there are 50 billion online t-shirt printed on demand companies out there. There's a billion of them. There are so many of them. So I spent a lot of time doing research. And I have chosen one. I am going to be switching. So if you go to merch.rahdo.com, you go to Spreadshirt instead of Teespring. I pretty much dropped Teespring. Years ago, I set up Spreadshirt. I don't really know much about it. I just set up because a few people asked for it. And if you go to merch.rahdo.com, you can buy some Gen-themed stuff and some Rahdo-themed stuff. But it's literally just a couple of days ago, I chose, I believe it's called Gelato. Let me look at that. Gelato. Is that not gelato.com? Is that right? Yeah, a global print on demand, gelato.com. I am switching over to them. I read their entire declarations of what they do with data. They're very upfront that it will not ever be used for spamming, so your concern, Donna, is addressed. But I really fell in love with Gelato because, unlike most of these things that just have one place where they produce and then they ship them all around the world, they specialize in having production in 33 different countries. So wherever you are in the world, chances are there there's going to be a lot less environmental impact on getting a Rahdo or a Gen t-shirt sent to you because it'll come much, and plus, it'll probably cost less to get to you, and it'll probably get to you much faster as well. I mean, this Meeple University t-shirt, this took me almost 2 months to get, the one I'm wearing right now. So I'm really impressed by Gelato. Plus, another thing that impressed me, you can integrate with Etsy, if I recall correctly, which is how Jen sells her glasswares. So I'll be able to, there'll still be merch.rahdo.com where you can get stuff, and I'll be able to integrate that into Jen's online store for selling her gamer glass. So it hasn't happened yet. I literally just made this choice a few days ago, in part because the great guys at Shelfside, which is another great YouTube channel I recommend everybody subscribe to. Those guys are hilarious. They did a ton of research, and they went the extra mile and got a bunch of samples and checked them out and personally confirmed that they were high quality. And I trust Shelfside, Ash and Dan. So that's the choice. And by this time next month, I should have everything transferred over. So Donna, I'm sorry to keep putting it on you. Ask me one more time in the next podcast, and I should be able to report that merch.rahdo.com is up and running in a much more environmentally friendly way, without you having to worry about, giving away your personal details. But thank you, Donna, for bringing it up, because honestly, I wouldn't have given it a second thought, and I'm really glad you brought it to my attention. Okay. Gerald says, I don't like memory mechanisms in board games, and I notice some games, while not requiring memory to play, do need a bit of memory to play them well. Almost all deck builders, card drafting games do. Gloomhaven, Lost Cities. I'm skipping over parts because he describes how you need to use a little bit of memory to remember what's in your deck or whatever. Are you fine with this type of memory aspect in games because it's at the forefront? Because it's not at the forefront, or do you think if they mention this in the rules as a tip, it might put you off the game? For example, if Pandemic said tip, it can be helpful to remember for a turn or two the cities that just got reshuffled. Make a note with a pen or paper. Here's the deal. You're right. Memory shows up in all kinds of games. Anytime there is a deck of cards, a deck builder, memory plays a part. Here's the deal. I don't do this when I play games in real life at conventions with other people, but when Jen and I play games, neither of us have the patience to try to remember anything. And if I'm trying to remember, wait, did I already buy one of those? I think I bought 2 of them. In a deck builder, you're allowed to look through your discard pile. You're not allowed to look through your deck, right? So Jen and I'll say, I think I bought 2. I didn't memorize this. I'm not going to write down on a piece of paper what I bought. I will just literally take my draw pile, look through the deck, say, oh, yeah, I did buy 2. And then I'll just shuffle it back up. I don't care. I do not have an eidetic memory. And I have no desire to try to, I just want to focus on the strategy. Jen does this too. We will always very quickly say, well, hey, you know what? I mean, we could actually look through all the discard piles, add it all up, and figure out how many of the negative event cards are still in the draw pile. There's either 3 or maybe there's only 1. But let's stop for 3 minutes and count them all up. Or to heck with that. Take the pile, just look through and say, oh, look, yeah, there's 2 left. Reshuffle it and put it back. We are not precious enough about our games to be bothered by that. So that is how I address memory. You mentioned Gloomhaven, trying to remember which has the really, really bad card, the 2X card come out for the monster yet, or whatever it might be. Just look at the deck and then reshuffle it. Who cares? Now, of course, this doesn't work in all games, like Aeon's End. You can't reshuffle the deck. And I do think it's important to not just be able to look and then say, oh, I'll just put it back there, because I don't want to have that unfair advantage. But I do not want to spend the time trying to memorize everything when it's so easy just to look and then reshuffle, and you're not changing anything. You are emulating. I am simulating the concept of me having an eidetic memory. I don't have one. I simulate it by just looking and then reshuffling. That's what I do. Jen does it. We do it all the time. It's one of the reasons I like playing with people at conventions less, because people at conventions will say, hey, you shouldn't do that. I'm like, what difference does it make? Here, you can look as well. We'll just shuffle afterwards. Who cares? But anyway, that's how I address that, because I hate memory in games. And you're right. It's in lots of games in little subtle ways, but usually it's very rare that you can't have a way that you could emulate without changing the core gameplay at all an eidetic memory. Okay. All right. So you wrote a bit more about that. I don't have any data, but I've noticed often enough, experienced it, that it seems gamers absolutely love a board game. They won't like the card. Oh, yeah. So if a gamer loves a board game, that they most likely won't like the card game version. But if they think a game is just okay and removed from a collection, there's a greater chance that the card game version would be a keeper. With these examples, Castles of Burgundy and Peloponnese, Terraforming Mars, Brussels. Is this a tempting pitfall for a designer in that they will gain new fans, but most likely disappoint their greatest fans? They will spend money buying it. I don't know. That is an interesting observation. Like you said, you have no empirical data. But anecdotally, I'll agree, that kind of feels right. I certainly don't find that to be the case for me personally. If I love a game, oh my gosh, here it is in card game form and I can get the same vibes, the same feels in a half the time. Yes, please. Why wouldn't you want that? Sometimes I've got a half an hour. Sometimes I've got 2 hours. Why not cover both? Which is usually what these card games do. They change things as necessary to make it work with a simpler, more streamlined way, and it's usually faster, like Terraforming Mars, Ares Expedition. But you're right. I think some people are just, hey, look, I like what I like, and I don't want it changed at all. Me, I love variety. If I love something, chances are I'm going to love variations on it all the more because I love it so much. I like seeing changes to it. And I don't know. Maybe I'm not the outlier. Maybe the people who get online and complain that, oh, this is garbage, you should only play the original game because they ripped the heart and soul out of it, maybe they're the outliers. They are certainly the most common post you will see on Board Game Geek, but as we discussed earlier in this podcast, there's a lot of negative Nellies out there, and they tend to be much more proactive about posting their opinions. And as, Kat suggested, most positive people just tend to shut the heck up and just sit there silently. And so I don't know if it is true. That would certainly be, I don't know how to do it too. I mean, because you could do a poll on Board Game Geek, but Board Game Geek reveals the results of how Board Game Geeks feel. And Board Game Geeks are a much more hardcore subset of gamers than just regular people. And I would think they'd be more prone to the, oh, you changed something I love, therefore I hate it. I don't think that's a normal response. Or at least it shouldn't be. It feels weird and wrong to me. But hey, that's just the way my brain chemistry works. So what do I know? But your actual question was, is it a pitfall for a designer to make a card game if they will end up? I don't think so. I think it's brilliant. Honestly, it's ridiculous not to do it. Because if there is a game that has proven to be hugely popular and well-loved, you could either make a completely new game that has no recognition to it whatsoever and fingers crossed, hope it works out, or you can make a game that puts the well-loved thing, you are immediately going to get more attention for that. You are immediately going to get more eyeballs. In an industry where profit is razor thin, it's ridiculous not to leverage IP if you can. So I think it's foolish not to do this. Because you could be right, and you could turn people off, but I suspect that's not the case. I suspect there are more positive people out there than a casual glance at Reddit or Board Game Geek might lead us to believe. So yeah, please do it, because hey, you'll get a Seven Wonders Duel or the upcoming Tokaido Duo. Kalis is a great game, but Kalis Magna Carta was phenomenal. And the ones you mentioned, Peloponnese and Peloponnese card game, these are great. These are wonderful. Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition could ultimately supplant Terraforming Mars. So yeah, do it, designers, do it! I say that very selfishly. Joseph says, I recently got a copy of the base game of Marvel Champions. I'm loving it! What's your favorite way to play the base game? Just the base game. Well, of course, I've got 50 bajillion expansions, so I only ever play it. I only get it out when I get a new expansion so I can play it and film it in the monthly Rahdo Rounds Up. If I were talking about just the base game, I loved playing to its strengths. I just liked... The beautiful thing about the base game was you didn't have to do any deck building. You had so few cards. You could say, hey, I'm going to play Spider-Man Leadership. And you literally just throw all the leadership cards in and a random smattering of I forget what they're called, but the gray cards and then the Spider-Man cards. Because one thing I do not like about Marvel Champions is I do not like constructing decks. I didn't like it a million years ago, back when I used to play Magic the Gathering. Competitively in like tournaments, and I do not like it in Marvel Champions. So there's just the base box. Before I got all the stuff, I would just love saying, okay, random villain, random, whatever the spice things are, random encounter to throw in with the villain, and random aspect, take all the aspect cards and a random selection, and just see what I get. What does Spider-Man feel like today? And just, it's a voyage of discovery as I'm playing him. Ooh! I've got Nick Fury. next time, Nick Fury's not there because he didn't show up randomly. That's the way I prefer to play. I love to have that sense of exploration with them. If you're talking about just the base box, which is what you asked. Continuing on. After playing the base game for a while, which expansions would you recommend getting next? Well, you should definitely get a big box, obviously, which means Red Skull, Guardians of the Galaxy, Sinister Motives, or Mad Titan Shadow, right? Those are the 4. Because you just get... It's just such a... I mean, you get 5 new villains, you get 2 new heroes. It doesn't cost that much more. You just get more bang for your buck. So you should buy one of those 4. If I could only pick one of them, I would probably pick Mad Titan Shadow. It's weird. I talked about this. Actually, if you do a search for Rahdo, 7 Marvel Champions, I actually did a little mini countdown, and I talked at great length about the difference between what I like about Mad Titan Shadow and what I like about Sinister Motives, and I wish those 2 could be combined to be the perfect expansion. I think the mission design... I think overall Mad Titan Shadow is better. It has more interesting design elements. The heroes are cooler. No, they're not cooler. The heroes are more interesting from a design perspective. I prefer Miles Morales Spider-Man and Spider-Gwen to Spectrum and Adam Warlock. But I do think Spectrum and Adam Warlock are more interesting from a gameplay perspective. They show more variety. And the mission designs, I mean, Mad Titan Shadow has some of the best ever. So I'd probably go with Mad Titan Shadow. But there are some elements of Sinister Motives that are so mind-bogglingly brilliant that I absolutely love to pieces. Honestly, though, so I probably Mad Titan Shadow, unless, I mean, watch that little video I did. When I talk about what's in Sinister Motives, you might like that one more. All right. Then Joseph says, not a question. I just wanted to say that even though I miss weekly R&Rs, I deeply respect the decision to give yourself some more breathing room. Taking care of yourself is super important. Thank you, Joseph. Yes, it was getting tough. I mean, I love Ruel. I love hanging out and talking with him, but every week, all the overhead that goes into filming live and all the other stuff I was doing, because it wasn't just the R&R show I did weekly. I do the monthly podcast. I'm streaming this live right now, and the roundup and the other stuff we'd unlock. So it just made sense. Right. Anyway, but thank you. Those are good questions, Joseph. Okay, let's go to Maruz wonders. Every time you do a run through of a game playing solo, you're describing the differences for 2 players. That's great! But can I make a suggestion? Wouldn't be a problem if you could say something about how solo mode works once you play 2-player mode with Jen as a second player. I mean to describe... I do talk about that. I mean, heck, I just literally yesterday filmed the solo Automa box for Terra Mystica. And while I did a solo run-through, in the final thoughts, I did talk about my experience bringing that in. If I do it, I talk about it. And when I can, I do it. So yes, that is something I definitely try to do, Marius. It's just sometimes... if the rules don't officially support it, then I don't do it. And then I complain, why don't the rules officially support it? And then a few months later, the publishers go on Board Game Geek and say, we officially support this now. Like that literally happened with Terraforming Mars, Ares Expedition. I said, why isn't this cool solo bot brought into the 2-player game? It would make it so much better. And ultimately they did. And then I talked about that when I covered the expansion. So I do try to cover that when it's officially supported. Okay. Matt says that you mentioned on R&R that the format is changing to monthly, which we just talked about a bit ago. And on the roundup, I mentioned personal stuff limiting my gameplay. Matt wonders, did he miss a programming announcement or 2? Hope everything is okay. Looking forward to every podcast episode. Love the energy and enthusiasm. Keep up the good work. Thanks, Matt. Yes. Right now we're in the game section. When we get to the personal section, I will be talking about the personal stuff that we went through recently. It has to do with my mom. My mom died last month, and I really don't want to dwell on it too terribly much because I just don't want to start crying. But that obviously really just completely upended my life. And we're still dealing with the... Anyway, thank you for your support, Matt. Like I said, I'll talk about this more when we get to the personal stuff. Alrighty. Sorry, this is the game section. Alrighty. Olivier says, just wondering if you know Adam Porter and his YouTube channel, Adam in Wales. He's a board game designer and reviewer, but where I find him most interesting is when he speaks out about game design. Olivier thinks that both of us are among the best to explain in detail the brilliance behind design in board games, not just, well, I like this because it has worker placement. Thank thank you, Olivier. Can I just say thank you so much? The number of times I see those negative Nellies on Reddit complain about, oh, Rahdo never does anything other than says he loves it. And like, have you watched my videos? I go so deep into mechanisms and why this works and how these things combine to create these other things. I'm a video game designer. I was a designer for over 2 decades. I live, breathe, and eat design, and I go deep on design. But you get so many haters just saying, oh, Rahdo, he's just a shill. All he ever does is say that everything is the greatest 10 out of 10. And clearly, every time somebody says that, I know they don't watch my show at all. But anyway, thank you, Olivia. I really appreciate that. That's the kind of positivity I should focus on instead of the negativity. Because I'm very, very proud of the observations I make when I'm actually identifying what works in a design, not just that I like it. Thank you. Anyway, though, and thank you for cheering me up. All right. Olivia continues. I know you don't do a lot of collaborations outside of the Rahdo team, but would love to hear you two talk game design. That would be interesting. That's cool. I used to do, guest appearances on other folks' shows, podcasts, and interviews and whatnot. They just took so much time. And I am getting older and tireder by the day. And I just have a hard time. These days, if somebody says, hey, could you appear on my podcast? The best I can generally do for folks is say, you know what, I just don't have the time. Trying to schedule that and work on the all the particulars and being in the right place at the right time and preparing, it's just too much. But what I will say is, hey, I'll do the next best thing. Send me a list of questions. I'll record my answers to it, and you can use it in your podcast or your video or whatever. So I would probably do something like that, but it's not as good. I agree. Adam Porter sounds like a sharp guy. I'd probably enjoy chatting with him, but I just don't have time. Time is the fire in which we burn. Okay, Renee says, in 2020, during a Corner to Corner episode, the question, if you decide to quit as a gamer, what happens to your collection, was asked. This was back when I was doing a show with Tom Vassell. I didn't have a confident answer then, but do I have a confident answer now? Yes, I certainly do. One of two things happens. Probably the lion's share of all of this goes to the Dice Tower West Library. Coincidentally, Corner to Corner, the thing I did with Tom Vassell of the Dice Tower, because after most of the games I play and then film a run through for that I do not keep on my shelf, they end up getting in a FedEx super box. These bulk freight boxes you can get from FedEx to make shipping like 200 games cost like $200. So it's like, that's amazing. So once or twice a year, I send a huge dump of games, so they will be at the Dice Tower West Convention Library. I suspect probably a third of all this stuff would go there. That's what I would do. If there's anything that Tim Medevere wants, he would get that. After that, the stuff that didn't go because they already have multiple copies of it or whatever, I would go on Board Game Geek. I would say, here is my collection. You can look through it. This is what the shipping will be. Bid. And it would be a bidding thing for the entire collection. And whatever it goes for, I would put it in a FedEx freight box and ship it away. That is what I would do, because I cannot stress just how fantastic FedEx freight boxes are. Let me find one. FedEx freight, because I'm running out of time here. FedEx freight box. Shipping, they're kind of hard to find. FedEx really kind of hides these things. I wonder if they lose money off them. Generic size? Shipping with freight boxes. Is this it? Yes, this is it. There we go. All right. Back to the browser. Sorry, folks who are listening. It's packet. Right. So you can just call them up. You have to create a FedEx freight account. It's like a business account. I've created that. And then you say, hey, send me one of these freight boxes. Either the one that uses a pallet, which is a little bit bigger, or the one that's self-contained. And they send you these boxes for free. These boxes, you could almost put you could put like 2 mini fridges for your dorm into one of these boxes. And they send them to you free. I've got several of these out in the garage. Over time, they slowly get filled up. When they are full, they go to Dice Tower West. And the whole box, which weighs hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds. If I took that down to the post office, it would cost thousands of dollars to ship this. It ends up costing a few $100 to ship them through FedEx Freight. Amazing. The FedEx freight boxes. Absolutely phenomenal. Very happy. That is what I would do. I would just get rid of everything in a 1-2 punch. Dice Tower West gets first dibs, and then some lucky bidder gets everything else. No, I don't want, you can keep that one. Nope, you get everything. If that were to happen. I don't expect that's going to happen, though. All right. Tanya has been watching my videos for 6 years and thinks she's seen about every run through. That's amazing. I've covered like 1,800 games, Tanya. Have you watched 1,800 run throughs? You are amazing. My hat's off to you. There was a game that I played of those 1,800 that Tanya's trying to revisit but can't remember the name. The board art had water on the bottom and Meeple's tokens were ships or boats. Did a Google search for Eurogames with boats and ships. That did not work. Was wondering if there's any way to do a keyword search of the videos. This is kind of what we were talking about before. No, there's not really. I have a mental image of what the board looks like, but not the box art. Also, I thought it might have been a Ken Follett game, but it wasn't. Thanks in advance for any advice you can give. And then Tanya has confirmed, what is this? This looks like 20 or so games that it's not. I am so sorry, Tanya. Like I said, it's 1,800 games. A lot of games with boats. A lot of games with boats. What's the first thing that pops into my head? That game from... Oh. I know where it is on my shelf. Hold on a second. Why am I doing this? I don't have time for this. Is it... Do I know where it is on my shelf? Newfoundland? Was it Newfoundland? Or was it Oracle of Delphi? Those are a couple that I do not see on your list of things you have checked. So maybe check those. Oh, I minimized everything to find the list. Crap. I need to get the list back. What is this? What has happened? Oh, everything got resized somehow. That's weird. Alrighty. Fine. Okay. Boom. Yeah, I don't see Newfoundland. That would be my bet. That would be my first guess. Certainly one that would be easily missed. And I also do not see Oracle of Delphi. So give those a check. And if not, really, my main suggestion, go to Board Game Geek. Actually, no. Go to faq.rahdo.com. faq.rahdo.com. I will go there myself right now. And entry number 5 is, I love insert game here. What should I buy? This is not your question, of course. But this links you to a forum called Board Game Geek Recommendations. And you could either post here, which is under gaming related in forums, or you could just post in general gaming. Go to Board Game Geek. If you haven't created a Board Game Geek account, create one. It literally takes less than a minute. They're really kind of laid back. Post your question there. I guarantee you, you will get hundreds of suggestions. Post your list of the ones you know it's not. You will, within a couple of days, you will have gotten the answer. The hive mind I was complaining earlier about a lot of negativity that's on Board Game Geek, but Board Game Geek is perfect for this kind of crowdsourced, wisdom of crowd solution. So I definitely recommend doing that. I suspect you will find what you seek. Good luck. Top. Okay, this is the last questioner, and Top had a bunch of questions. Oh, Top. You have so many questions, Top. You have 6 gigantic questions, some of which break down into multiple sub-questions. Top, I've run out of time, Top. I think you're going to be question number 1 next episode, Top, which I know you're fine with, because the interesting thing about Top is at any given time about 6 months behind. I think Top actually talked in here about how they finally caught up to the middle of 2021. So Top isn't going to hear this for another year. So Top, you're going to wait 1 more month. I'll get to all of your questions, because I've got to move on to the next thing I'm filming today. So, thank you for your patience, Top, and thanks to everybody. Were there any other questions besides Top's big, huge dump of questions? Nope. Okay. So, folks, that's it, but we're not done with game questions. Hang on for a second, and we'll be right back with a few gaming questions for Jen, which means Jen will be joining us. Woohoo! Okay, folks, I'm done. I just looked over. We have 7 minutes. Oh, dear. And I still had all those questions from Top. Let's see here. I heard somebody with a commiseration in my ear. Thank you about that. Yeah, it was really rough a few weeks ago. But I'm just not going to talk. There's no reason to talk about my mom right now. I loved her, and I miss her, and she went about the most peaceful, best way anybody could go. Her body has been donated to science, which is what she wanted, so she is still doing good. And let's just see if you had any questions. Not about my mom. Okay, let me, because I promised I would do that. Okay, coming back over here. Feature.chat. Oh my gosh, so many questions came in. Okay, I'm just going to blitz them. Goblin, are the FedEx freight boxes US only? I believe so. I believe they're only for US. I don't know if even Canadian, North American customers can use. So I probably should have mentioned that I was a bit cruel waving that in your face, because man, they are good. Yeah, okay. Are you planning on visiting Essen in the coming years? Yeah, I probably will visit Essen, but probably not until Jen and I move back to Europe. I can't imagine doing it. It's just too long a flight. So sometime in the next 5 years, maybe. Okay. Begant says, I noticed you say cool fairly frequently. Are you quoting Abed or Jake Peralta? I am quoting both. If I'm quoting Jake Peralta, I say cool. Cool. Whereas if I just say cool, I'm quoting Abed. For people who don't know, I'm just going to leave it at that. Everybody loves inside jokes. But well spotted. Yes, I am totally quoting both of them. Alrighty. Corthane, if you and Jen do start the RV traveling dream, will you continue to make board game content? That is one of the big questions to answer. Certainly I can. At the very least, I think to keep the Patreon page going, because there are certain exclusive things, at the very least, I'd probably still do the exclusive stuff for Patreon backers. And, the additional stuff that's covered by Patreon would get doled out to Amy and Maggie and Shay and everybody else. But I'd probably still do some stuff. But probably it'd mostly be exclusive just for supporters of the show, because my main purpose would be to keep those Patreon funds coming in so that money wouldn't go to me, but instead would go to Kimberly and Ruel and Ryan and everybody else, because I love the fact that Shay literally makes his living as a board game media person off the income from my channel plus his own. And I want to make more dreams come true like that. So I'd probably continue in some form, but it would be a different form than what I currently do. But we haven't gotten that far yet. Right. In your opinion, is Grand Austrian... You must mean Grand Austrian Hotel. You must have forgotten Hotel, Rail Kings. Is it a little too complex for casual gamers? I saw demos at a recent con and want to get it, but I'm not sure if it's a good fit for a casual group. It's crunchy. It is. I would not say it's a Gateway Plus game. It is definitely a next level game. The one pro is, if I recall correctly, there is no hidden information in that game at all. Everything is public knowledge. I don't think you have a secret hand of cards. So that helps, because you, as the experienced player, can help people when they're overwhelmed. But believe me, they will get so overwhelmed in this game. I just don't think you can do it. Maybe. I mean, I did once teach a complete board game novice how to play Dungeon Pets, and she had a great time, but that was one of the toughest teaches I ever had. Okay. Let's see. Begant also says, have I received my final copy of Planet Unknown? No, I so want it. I need to get a copy of it to evaluate if it's in my top 10 games of 2022, because I think it could be, but I've only played the prototype. If you do, will there be, is it, yeah, well, there's no choice about it. It totally makes my top 10 polyomino games of all time. That is definitely something I need to do. But I can't do a top 10 until I actually get to play the final version of Planet Unknown. But no, they have not sent a review copy. I assumed they just figured, there's no reason to. I already covered it when it was on Kickstarter. But man, I would love to give that game some more love. I would love to see what additional stuff got thrown in. Okay. Fem Sensei, of the games you've recently played, how do they rank? Let me just really quickly look, because we got a few minutes. Oh no, I need to go to my Outlook calendar, which I'm not going to share, where I keep track of it. Let's see, and I can turn off that, and I can turn off. Right, if I turn off that, right. So what have we recently played? Most recently, we played Terra Mystica, Merchants of the Seas plus the Automa, Terracotta Army, Sunshine City, Sky Mines, Dungeons, Dice in Danger, Explorers, Rar and Right, and Wormholes, and Amon-Ra. Oh man, I could just keep going back. All right, the 5 most recent games I played. I'm gonna do a little mini countdown of those. Except where are we? We're on the 19th, right? Okay. So of the 5 most recent games I played, I would put Terracotta Army number 1, Sky Mines number 2. Wait. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Sunshine City, number 3. No, maybe Sunshine City, number 2. It's really freaking good. Or maybe number 3. Explorers, number 4. Dungeons, Dice, and Danger, number 5. There we go. There's a quickie. Quickie. Of course, you'll get more than just that quickie when I do the next roundup. Alrighty. If you weren't in the gaming industry, analog or digital, what would you do? I've talked about this before. I've given it a lot of thought. I would probably still do YouTube stuff, but I would do other pop culture content. I would do Marvel TV shows and movies. I would be the positive voice. I would be the guy doing the videos about why the prequel Star Wars movies are fantastic and Last Jedi is the best one of all. I'd probably get a lot of hate viewing. But I'd probably switch over to doing, movie, TV, critiquing YouTube channel. I think I'd be pretty good at it. And mine would stand out because I would be always positive, showing all the good things. One of my favorite YouTube channels is not Cinema Sins, which I hate, but Cinema Wins, which is a parody of that. That basically just talks about, look at all these really great things in movies that you hate. Oh, I love that guy. Alrighty. A pineapple on pizza, yay or nay? For me, that's a big nay. I do not like mixing sweet and savory. It's fine, I'll eat it, but I'd rather not. I'd like to keep my sweets and savories separate. But it's okay. It's not as bad as everybody makes it out to be. What is the word on Aqua Garden crowdfunding another expansion in the near future? Do you mean Aquatica? What is Aqua Garden? Barkerware, I'm sorry, I'm out of time and I don't understand the question. Please come back and ask the question again because I'm out of time. And then what, Ask Goblin, is a franchise I would like to see a movie made of? Obviously you mean a board game franchise. Do I still have my rank.rahdo.com open? Rank.rahdo. What would I like to see made into a movie? But the things I love don't make for good movies. Because it'd be a movie about a Renaissance era middle manager trying to deal with logistical problems. Nobody wants to see that at all. Although, you know what? Honestly, I would love to see a film about subsistence farmer living in a medieval Europe, i.e. Agricola. That would be amazing. Most of the time, whenever you see a historical drama, it's always about the nobles and the rich people, and maybe you get a little bit of upstairs, downstairs with the commoner folk. I want to see more historical drama about the commoner folk, and a movie that celebrates the highs and lows. It's probably going to be depressing, isn't it, though? There probably aren't very many highs. That's the problem. Ugh. Yeah, I mean, a real Agricola would be a work of fantasy if it was to be at all sunny and happy. Ugh. Black Angel. No, Black Angel's really depressing too. Oh, Dungeon Pets. Dungeon Pets would be a wonderful animated film. That would be pretty cool. Yeah. You know what? I would love a Netflix animated series for Aeon's End. I would love that. They have put so much work and thought into that universe. And now that I played the prequel, the past and future, a thing that goes into the same level of depth as Attack on Titans, I want to see an Attack on Titans approach to Aeon's End. How about that? That sounds cool, doesn't it? I think it does. That's my answer. I'm sticking to it. But folks, we are done. I got your questions done. And it is time to go back to... You saw me actually putting the question on screen. Sorry about that. To Ruel. I assume he is standing by. So let me hit the raid button. There he is. Okay, folks. You are definitely going to want to stick around. If you stick around for the raid, you will earn channel points you can use to unlock bonus stuff. And he is going to be playing probably one of the most successful Kickstarters of the year. This game is going to do, I'm calling it now, it's going to do 2.5 million at least. And it just launched today. I don't know how it's done so far. And you can watch Ruel and Michelle play it, and they are going to do a fantastic job because when the two of them get together, it is gold. I was watching the two of them play is what wanted me to get Ruel on the channel. So stick around and have a fun time with them and get ready to raid in 3, 2, 1, go, 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 go. Fingers crossed it is going. Let's go to Twitch and confirm it's going. Twitch. Ruel Gaviola. Right, Ruel Gaviola Twitch. It says I'm rating. And there they are. Okay. It worked. Oh, and he put on the hat. You know there's a raid if Ruel gets his hat on. So, okay, folks. Thanks very much for watching. I got to go edit my crowd sorcery show together. Talk to you later. See you next week on July 26th. On July 26th, and it would be me and Ruel doing another top 10 on the RtR show. Talk to you, everybody. So long. Bye-bye. Bye bye.